I've completed the shaping at the top of the mitten now. I began with 2 plain rounds between the shapings and then speeded it up to every alternate round, and I finished the last round was a decrease round. You can shape this asymmetrically if you wish to suit your hands or to suit the pattern that you're planning to put in there. So that's the finished result. Now what we need to do is to divide this into 2 layers so that we can graft it. I'm going to slip all my stitches onto one needle per side. There we go. And now I'm going to put them onto 2 separate pieces of yarn. So I've got 2 darning needles threaded with contrasting colour yarn. This one's a bit sharp, so I'm going to lead with the eye. And now I'm going to divide the layers up. So I've got a needle for my front layer and a needle for my far layer. So I'm going to take near, far, near, far, and keep going until I've separated the 2 layers out. That's the first side. And now I'm going to continue along the other side. And this is what we should end up with. These are my inner layer stitches, and I'm going to take those tails and tuck them down inside. Now I can get ready to graft the top of this mitten, otherwise known as Kitchener stitch. I'm not going to use my toe chimney technique here. I'm just going to graft them either directly off the waste yarns. I've decided to graft the stitches in a contrasting colour, so it kind of echoes the theme of the line running up the side. And I'm going to do my usual trick, which is graft with a separate piece of yarn, and that way I can neaten both corners as I wish right at the last minute. So I'm going into those 2. I'm going to leave a tail for doing things later. There's my side stitch, and I'm going to deal with that later. And as long as I don't split my waste yarn, I can treat it like a knitting needle. And I want to pull these sewn stitches to the same size and shape as a normal knit stitch. If I want, I can cut away the waste yarn as I go, which is a good idea because it allows me to get these sewn stitches more exactly in the right shape. I just want to leave a bit of this turquoise yarn through my end stitch here. And now I can tweak out the yarn as I sew these stitches. Into the front and out from the back. into the front, out from the back, and I'm inserting with a threaded needle a row of real knit stitches. So you always go back to where you came from and into the next stitch. And as long as I'm not making the underneath stitches twist, everything is fine. I much prefer grafting off waste yarn because it lays everything flat without twists, but this works just fine. And I'm making sure I don't catch the other layer. Go cleanly through the stitches. And one more pink stitch on this side. Back into here. And then I'm going to decide what to do about those two end stitches, but for now that will do. So I've got this stitch here and that one there that are as yet undealt with. I've just recaptured that end stitch and make sure that doesn't disappear on me, not that I'm really worried about it. And now I'm going to neaten a few ends and turn and do the other side. All the ends are cleaned up now and we're ready for side 2. I've segregated the end stitch on this side and prepared my sewing yarn. And just as before, I'm going to graft my way across the top. If you prefer to put the stitches back on needles, that's fine, whatever works for you. Now that I'm across most of the way on this side, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with these end stitches, and what I'd really like to do is tuck them underneath. So I'm thinking about treating these two as one stitch so it hides behind the green. And back into the green to complete the graft. And then I can take this tail inside and just tweak on that corner, and it quite effectively hides that last side stitch. So I'm going to leave that there and go and do something similar at this end. And that's one of the advantages of working with an independent piece of yarn, that you've got a piece of yarn with which to address and neaten both corners. So if I take that last stitch out here, and tuck this stitch and turn and tuck this stitch behind this one and go back into here. Again, I've hidden and tucked under that end stitch. So all that needs to be done now is to carefully neaten the two tails on either side. And now I'm going to flip the mitten inside out and do the same on the other side. By getting rid of a lot of the ends and the junk around the area, it allows me to concentrate on this final little bit of neatening. Hold that stitch as if they were one. Come into both of them at once and into that last pink stitch. And again, all nicely tucked in. All I've got to do is some neatening. That stitch there is bothering me a bit. I'll see what can be done about that. Just a matter of manipulation. So I'll repeat with this side, and then the next adventure is the thumb.